So I kind of wanted to ask you a bit about the league in general this year, just because I saw the NHL.
It's hockey. It's National Hockey League. There's 2 conferences.
You're the worst. Just because I saw NHL and NBC Sports tweet this out 7 minutes ago. What team will earn the fewest points this season? So if you want, go to the roster standings. You can see where everyone, how everyone turned out last year.
Thinking.
Yeah, take your time, because I was thinking the same thing.
What do you think? Say.
Why get a?
Hey.
I gotta think of some stuff here.
Some things and some stuff. Some stuff and some.
Some
things.
stuff, yes. I forget where, because I was talking with a friend of mine, and me and him essentially had the same thoughts on this. I think. Hold on, let me check Facebook really quickly. So we had the same exact thoughts on.
I'm between 3 teams:
Okay.
the Islanders, the Senators, and the Canucks.
And the Canucks. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is interesting. All right, because looking at the standings last year in the entire league, going all the way to the bottom, Buffalo, Ottawa, Arizona, Montreal, and Detroit. Those are your top 5 of the worst. I think the top 3 worst teams. So what was yours again? It was Ottawa.
That wasn't top 3. I just couldn't really decide which.
Oh, okay, but you were just thinking 3 in general for
like
who.
I'm stuck between these 3
Okay,
teams.
so who are they again?
Islanders, Senators, and
Canucks. Okay, so I agree with you on Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually agree with you on Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be relatively bad, but I think they're going to be better. I think Quinn Hughes is going to play a huge part for them. They need to call up Thatcher Demko if they want to have success.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a dominant goalie in the AHL, and he should have his time soon, very soon, I think, in the NHL. So Montreal definitely, Ottawa definitely. Yes, I think Montreal is going to be towards the bottom of the barrel.
Not with Carey Price.
I think they're still going to be. They're the 4th worst team last year.
True. But that was also without Price. He was hurt.
That's true.
And Price, who was off his
regardless,
game,
though, of how
Price
good.
is a goalie that can help.
No, I know. Regardless of how good Price is, though.
And that's what your other team was, honestly.
Regardless of how good Carey Price is for your team,
Mm-hmm.
there's only so much he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it this way. Like, look at what the Phillies used to do with Cole Hamels. Like,
oh, yeah. They signed Jay Beagle, the Canucks.
Oh, this day gets better and better. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But also, see, I'm tied between Montreal, Ottawa, and probably the Islanders, just because
the Islanders are going to miss a lot with Tavares.
That's going to hurt.
I know they
them
have
so much. Matt Barzal.
But he can.
It doesn't
do so
matter.
much.
It doesn't matter.
They didn't do anything this offseason that made me think they're going to do good. I
love that. I love that.
It made me think they're trying to bank the season.
Tank. Yeah, not bank.
Tank, whatever.
Missing one letter, but that's all right. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. I really think it's gonna be up in the air between Ottawa, Montreal, and the Islanders. Those are my 3.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's going to be in the Atlantic?
Even Arizona is going to be better. Buffalo's going to be much better with getting Skinner, getting Dahlin.
Mm-hmm. I still think they're going to be probably 5th. But
yeah, I can see them within the top 10 of the lowest of the league. However, they're going to be much improved. What do you think about Chicago? No, like where is Chicago going to end up? That's my question. 'Cause they finished well below.
Only 76 points.
Yes. They finished 7th worst, but I think they ended up with the 8th overall pick.
But they're also playing in the toughest division.
I honestly think... Actually, I want to look at the division now.
What, the Central?
Yeah. Division...
Predators, Jets, Wild, Avalanche, Blues,
Okay.
Stars.
Out of 4 of those 7 teams, they're playoff teams. Do you really think that the Central is the toughest? I think the Metro is.
Nah.
You got Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly. Just look at the race. There's 5 teams, 5 in the Eastern Conference that made the playoffs out of the Metropolitan alone. Left only 3 from the Atlantic with Tampa Bay, Boston, and Toronto.
I don't think New Jersey's making the playoffs. I think they're going to have a down year.
Interesting.
Because I don't think Hall can repeat what he did last year.
Yeah.
Columbus. Toss up.
They're a toss up. It all depends what happens with Panarin and Bobrovsky. Oh man.
But just points wise, you can just see the Central has a lot more.
Yeah, 3 of their teams finished 100 points or above. Same thing with the Atlantic.
Look how close from 4th to 6th or 7th.
That's true. Only 3 points out from basically his playoff spot from Dallas. 1 point for St. Louis, who lost on the last day of the regular season. Now you get to the Pacific: Vegas, Anaheim, San Jose, L.A. 4 teams
That's
from
not
there.
as stacked in the Pacific.
I agree, but with Carlson and Pacioretty now going to the Pacific, it's going to make them much harder.
It makes it harder, but it's just Vegas and San Jose, and I was already between those two to probably win it. I thought before they got Pacioretty that Vegas probably would have dropped to 3rd, not 1st.
Second
But
or third,
before
I think, because I think
San Jose,
San
but
Jose
then with
and
the
maybe
trade.
even L.A. would have made it a run for their money.
I don't know how well Kovalchuk is, or what he
Yeah.
is now compared to when he left.
Did, right, I agree.
I don't know what he really did in the KHL, so
Yeah, but he did have a very sharp goal the other night in preseason where he looked like his normal self.
And then there's always Calgary, who they signed Neil and everything.
I think Neil would help.
Yeah, and then you also have Connor McDavid.
Yes.
Too bad their team's not gonna do much.
Unfortunately.
For as great as he is, they're not doing anything to help him.
They
Which
need
is why
something.
if they didn't have Connor McDavid, I would probably say Edmonton.
True.
But because they have Connor McDavid, it doesn't really have them go. So
Right. So we'll go from there. Now, who do you think?
Because we already kind of talked about this yesterday too, was who would you rather play in the playoffs the first round with the Flyers?
Oh yeah,
I said Pittsburgh and you said Washington.
Washington. Right. I truly depend. It depends on the playoff schedule, on who you play in that first round, and your momentum going into that first round. But now I want to, because we talked about who we think the worst team will be. Who do you think the best team will be now? As in, not necessarily who would win the Stanley Cup, but we could talk about that as well. But
who do you think will get the most points? You're saying?
Yeah, basically the President's Trophy. Because Nashville dominated last year. They were 53, 18, and 11. They had 29 losses overall. They had I'll put it this way. They had as many losses in total as the Penguins did in just regulation.
Winnipeg only had one more loss.
Exactly. And that just shows how dominant that.
But then I'm also thinking, what about Toronto? Because they just got Tavares.
Right. They just got Tavares.
And then there's always Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
This is going to be
I don't think it's anyone in the Metro. I think the Metro, they're more I understand what you're saying, how it's difficult.
Right.
But I think they're still evenly there.
Yeah, exactly. Because
They're not
that's
the
my
tops
point.
of the
Is
tops, but they're
the top 5 spots in the Metro, they're all, very close. So the only ones that weren't close to that top spot was Columbus, New Jersey, and technically you could argue Philly, because it's really only Pittsburgh who's only 5 points out, but it's still 5 points.
And really, Philadelphia was there for a little bit, then they fell off at the
Right.
end.
They still had a solid record, though. But
the Flyers almost missed it too, and
That's true.
And the Panthers almost snuck in.
Yeah, because there could have been a game 83.
Yeah,
And that would have been something else.
it would have been, but thanks to
Glad-
Drew's hat trick.
Yes, I'm glad that did not happen.
And also, this is what I meant to say yesterday with the Flyers and Penguins. The Flyers took them to 6 games this past time.
Yep, without a healthy Couturier.
Without a healthy Couturier.
Without a healthy Elliott and Neuvert.
Yeah, not great goaltending. They had a lot of goals against them, but they still took them to 6 games. It's not the same Penguins team that won back-to-back, I don't
I
think.
agree.
So I think they're beatable now.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think
But
of
I still can't. I don't know. Who would you say?
for the top team,
Presidents.
President's team? I might go on a limb here. All right, we'll make it easier on you. If you had to pick one team in the East and one team on the West as your 2 best teams to win the President's Trophy, I would pick Toronto. And I'm going to go actually with Winnipeg.
Yeah, we'll go with Winnipeg too.
Although they lost Stasny, I think
They only had Stastny for half the season.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Because
They traded for him.
they traded for him. I thought he was there for a while.
Mm.
No, that's right. So I still think Winnipeg's going to do a lot of damage. Nashville, they're going to be right there, but I think Winnipeg's just got the upper
Yeah.
hand. So now
I say Winnipeg, Tampa Bay.
okay, and Tampa. I love Tampa Bay. I love what they're doing there. I'm curious to see how they're going to
This
rebound.
is why I say Tampa Bay.
Go for it.
They have a pretty good offense. It's not like Toronto's who's going to have the best offense, obviously, but they have the significantly better defense.
Yeah. So 'cause I was a little surprised they said
And
they have
goaltending.
pretty good offense. Their offense is fantastic. This is
I'm just saying compared to Toronto. 'Cause
Right.
Toronto's has one of the
Okay,
best
so-
offenses.
looking at all your players for Tampa Bay. You have JT Miller, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Andre Palat, Braden Point, Yanni Gord, Alex Killorn, Tyler Johnson, Cedric Paquette, and Ryan Callahan. The only 2 players who I'm not extremely confident about in that lineup is Matthew Joseph and Anthony Cirelli. Cirelli's not bad, though, from what I've seen. Defense, it's not fair. Sergachev, Hedman, McDonough, Strawman, Girardi, Coburn. Those are the only 2 exceptions. But-
they're going to probably be battling for like a 7th or 6th spot or whatever.
Right. But now, looking at for Toronto, Matthews, Marleau Nylander, Tavares, Marner, Kapanen, Kadri. Wow, they do have some holes there.
They
More
do.
than I
And
realized.
they got
They-
NS too.
They do have Tyler Ennis. I'm kind of iffy about him, but he's better than their
He's
options.
a good bottom 6.
Hyman and Andreas Johnson, not high on. Lindholm, Connor Brown, never been a fan of. Morgan Riley, Gardner, those are your best 2 defensemen. So I can easily see why defense is a problem for Toronto.
And obviously you have Anderson, who's done better the past couple of seasons too. But
Yeah.
I still the Vasilevsky's still a better goaltender than Anderson is.
Oh, hands down. Absolutely.
Oh, Phil Kessel.
Oh, Phil.
Nylander's still a free agent too.
That's right. There's something I'm glad you mentioned that because there's something that I retweeted that was a quote from Mike Babcock.
There's only 2 restricted free agents.
Chris
right?
Johnson tweeted this out earlier. Babcock says he has not spoken with William Nylander since training camp opened. He said, quote, Willie knows we want him back. We'd like him back as soon as possible. That's a business thing between them and Kyle. In saying that, it's way easier to be there. It's way easier to be ready to go if you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So, another.
Yeah.
I don't know why he hasn't signed a contract. Like, why wouldn't you not want to sign a contract with that team? Oh, and another news. I forgot about this. The Montreal Canadiens released Joel Ward from his professional tryout. So that's something there.
Tampa Bay fell off last season too.
There goes my ears.
Yep.
Tampa did kind of fall off there.
Because Boston caught up to them, I remember.
They
They were
did.
only a point they were
That's
only a point
right. I
behind.
forgot about that.
They were so far ahead for the majority of the season, and then,
Looking at... Because I want to.
Because I'm still trying to answer your question. Are the presidents okay? I'm trying to give you a single answer here.
I know it's tough.
I'm
Like
looking at
even
last
I'm
season.
having trouble coming.
Last season, if you're just doing Winnipeg and Tampa Bay, Winnipeg only had one more point than Tampa Bay did. But Nashville's the better defense in both of them.
Right.
Well,
I know.
They can go up.
Tell me about
They
it.
can go
It's
up
it's tough.
against, Tampa Bay's defense, at least.
So here's the thing, though, on how effective their season by season record has been. So this is since 2013-14. 3 years in a row, they were second in the Atlantic, Tampa Bay. Then they were fifth. They did not qualify for the playoffs. Then they won the Atlantic.
That was also the year that Stamkos was out the whole
year. 2013-14, they got swept in the first round against Montreal. Next year, they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Chicago Blackhawks in 6. Lost in the conference finals to the Pittsburgh Penguins in 7. The eventual something I just realized. In the last 3 seasons, the Tampa Bay Lightning have been in the playoffs. They lost to the Stanley Cup champion. Blackhawks, obviously, in the Stanley Cup final. Penguins went on to win Cup 15-16. 16-17, they were not in it. And then in last season, they lost to the Capitals, who went on to win their first Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was interesting. But
every year, there's one team I'm always like, okay, in the East, it's probably going to be Tampa Bay.
Right, and I love the fact that Tampa Bay's been so dominant, but you would think that with getting McDonough and JT Miller, that would push them over the hump.
That was another thing that they just got them after the trade deadline.
Right. Because my biggest question now is, what can Tampa Bay do that pushes them over the edge? Because we've seen it before that just because you win the President's Trophy doesn't mean you're guaranteed a cup. I think it's a curse. It's literally, I think it's a curse of the President's Trophy.
Now, what the curse was, actually, that was Nashville and Winnipeg.
Yes.
They were playing each other. It wasn't even the Western Conference.
Yeah, that's a good point. But but still, for Tampa, they gotta get over this hump because they're getting so close to winning another Stanley Cup, but yet they're not necessarily wasting the years of Hedman, Kucherov, Stamkos, and all the others I mentioned.
They're still relatively.
They're still very.
They're still an older.
Right, they're an older but younger bunch. For their oldest player, that's Stamkos is 28. Mm-hmm. Callahan 33. Hedman's only 27. Johnson 28. Kucherov's 25.
Mm-hmm. Steve Yzerman really did a good job.
He did a phenomenal job, and I feel sorry for Tampa Bay that they're losing out on. Yeah. I think,
but I'm sure.
I think he's honestly the best GM in since 2010.
Probably.
If not even a little bit before that. The only other one I consider better than him is Stan Bowman from Chicago.
Maybe I can also make a thing for Pittsburgh too.
Oh yes, Jimmy Rutherford.
They won back-to-back.
Jimmy Rutherford. I almost forgot about. I'm glad you mentioned Rutherford. He's a genius. Like he makes all these small moves, big depth moves that people don't think of. Like, oh no, it's nothing. And the moment they realize it's too late, it's already over. It's like, well, crap, they won again.
I hate to say that, but it's probably true.
No, it really is true.
It is true, but I don't like the signing he made with Jack Johnson.
That is one that is very questionable to me though. That's that threw me off quite a bit. I was definitely surprised by that, but I don't know. Other scores from last night's preseason action.
If we're gonna do that, who is the worst GM?
Oh, all right. We'll get into that in just a second because I would love to talk about that easily. Because I think I have. Oh wait. I'm kind of tied, actually, between two. You probably know what I'm talking about. But very quickly, before we get into that, the Rangers defeated the Devils in overtime 4-3 last night. As we mentioned, the Boston Bruins defeated Philadelphia 4-3 in regulation. The Flyers were down 4-0 and scored 3 consecutive goals before falling just short. Montreal beat... Okay, so I don't know who this is, but TML, because the SiriusXM... NHL Network Radio tweeted the scores out. I might just have to look up the scores myself on NHL.com because unless that's probably a typo. I don't know if they meant to say Tampa Bay
Who was it? You said
It was Montreal when they played last night.
they played Toronto.
Toronto. Where do you? Oh, Toronto Maple Leafs. Duh. Okay, that threw me off for a second. I was like, why are you saying TML? And
MTL. That would be Montreal.
yeah, the Dallas Stars defeated the Minnesota Wild 5-3. The Winnipeg Jets 5-4 over the Calgary Flames. 4-1 Canucks losing to the LA Kings. 4-2 Ducks taking that over the Coyotes,
Quack,
and of course, the Colorado Avalanche winning 5-3 against the Vegas Golden Knights. And those are your scores from last night's preseason action. So, with your question...
Flying V.
Yes, you got it. With your question about the worst GM in today's NHL.
Edmonton.
Boy. Oh, true. Three-way tie in a way. What about Pierre Dorion? Come on.
Yeah.
The general manager for the Ottawa Senators.
Mm-hmm.
Or...
Yeah, seeing the trades he made with, and not getting much for Carlson's, but with a player as great as
Or
Dave.
Marc Bergevin from the Montreal Canadiens. Those are my top two. I can see the Edmonton Oilers and Peter Chiarelli, but Marc Bergevin and Pierre Dorion, I think those are your two winners.
I remember Amarillo is kind of overrated too. Just saying.
Yeah. And one thing that, and since we're talking about Lou, one thing that kind of weirds, I don't know, it's just kind of bizarre, is I don't like his number rule about like how you can't have a high number. Not only that, but like the not having a playoff beard is like, I don't know what that's about. It's just one of his things. But
that's a baseball thing.
yeah, right. I don't know. I love the fact of that the teams allow playoff beers and everything. But now that he's gone, you know, the Islanders are free. The Toronto.
Very Sherwin.
Oh, sorry. Toronto's free. And,
Yeah.
Edmonton not. Or sorry, the Islanders not so much.
Yeah.